Hi, this is Dallin Stringham in Sales Account Management, and this is the Cores of Credibility Assessment 2. Now, taking this the second time and reviewing things, there was a lot of interesting stuff, and it's always a really fun refresher because there's actually some very tricky questions in here that, technically, you want to be as honest as you can on the honest assessment, and so it's a really good time to be like, okay, have I actually changed? Is there actually anything different? And so there were some really key parts that stood out to me that I've improved from last time and that I want to continue improving last time. So one of the ones in part one, which is the integrity section, the question that I didn't have as much was the second one, which is at times there's a mismatch between what I think and what I say, or between my actions and values. And that's something I've been working a lot to really keep up, both in my sales job and in my personal life, and especially something I have a harder time standing up with is sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm not other people's keeper, and so I'm just gonna they can make their dumb choices or whatever. But sometimes those choices affect you and it affects other people, and so that's where I've done a better job of trying to hold to my values. And so when I see people making jokes that they shouldn't, or when I see like people lying dishonestly, I am not afraid to call them out. And part of that has taken the willingness and the practice of standing up, but that's something that I've been able to work on, which has been really neat. And it's taken a lot of self-reflection because it's hard because there's things that I view that are different than what other people view, and so it does take a lot of work to honestly become or live in a way that you can be willing to have that congruence, because it's hard, because that means often that sometimes there's things that you don't like in other people that you totally do yourself. And so I've had to also work on dropping a few things in my life to get to that point. I love the story of it was in a conference talk a little while ago, but it was a mom who took her kid to the village's wise man, and the mom was like, my kid's eating too much candy and he only eats candy, and you need to tell him that he needs to stop eating candy. And so the wise old man was like, come back in a week and I will tell him to stop eating candy, and I will tell him the answer. And so basically, like a week later, they come back and the guy's like, stop eating candy. And the mom was like, why'd you have to wait a week to say that? And he's like, because I had to stop eating candy for a week. And so it's just similar to this. It's like you really have to change yourself if you are going to try and change your outward appearance towards other people, or even how you interact with other people. Another thing that I really like is in part three, there's the question that I seldom take time to improve my knowledge and skills at work, in or any other area of my life. And something I have kind of I got to really, so I do jewelry sales, I'm sure you know by this point, and I got to a really good point where I had so much industry knowledge and lots of sales experience. But the way I work with couples, there's constantly different couples, and some of them I work really well with, and it's like, holy crap, like there's 100% chance that I sell to you guys, and usually I can predict those really well. And then there's a lot of couples that I work with and we just don't click as much. It's different, and those sales are a lot harder to predict or to make. And so I have worked by shadowing my manager, learning from other salespeople in my store, how to better work with a different variety of couples and different personalities that sometimes I struggle with. And through that, I've actually done quite a bit better in sales lately, which has been really amazing to have that. And so really going back to changing yourself and working on that personal growth, which obviously takes time and effort and energy, and sometimes it feels like you plateaued or that would be uncomfortable to try more, but it's totally worth it. And then the last concept is I often fail to finish what I start. Now, this is something that I really want to keep working on, because honestly, I'm Elder Scrum president. I work at the jewelry store. I do a lot of piano accompaniment for people. I do classical piano on the side. I go to school full time, and there's just so much going on. And so sometimes it's really hard to keep up with all the commitments that I've made. But something I've been striving to do is to write down stuff and to try and follow through. And if I can't follow through on the time frame, then be honest and find a solution. And that's one of the biggest core principles from the book that I really like, is it just comes down to like keeping commitments, which is the results portion, which I think really I have really good integrity, really good intent, good capabilities. Of course, you can always improve your capabilities, but my results are really what I want to improve right now. And so that's what I'm going to continually working on improving on both through prayer and seeking revelation, but also putting it into practice and improve my capabilities so I can do my results. And for me, improving my results and capabilities can sometimes mean being less busy so I can spend more time on what really matters and what the important commitments, and learn how to say no to people. So those are just some things I'm working on, and that is the core of credibility assessment 2.